Watching, sorry for the delay, but we are meeting tonight. So I have minutes going around. I believe it just needs a Jim's signature there. And once we're good there, we'll dive right into the meeting. And actually, before we do that, we have 3 board members here. And we have a motion to start.
We have a motion to start.
Julie, you got that?
Yep.
Second. Joey's in favor. All right,
Aye.
awesome. And then we have 2 alternates here. Would you like to put our alternates here in the 2 spots? or-
Yes, I would
Yeah.
like to make a motion to put both alternates in the spot for our voting purposes.
Perfect.
Not that we're voting, but just
Second.
in case.
In favor?
Aye.
All right. Now we can dive right in. All right, so before we just get right into this, I have an announcement to make, and I figured this was the best time to do this. So, Jason, Jim, sorry if I'm reading from a written statement. I know we practiced for town meeting, but I have a lot to get into, and I want to make sure I have my words right here. So, I'd like to make an announcement for everyone here and everyone watching from home. As of yesterday, I have given my 2 weeks' notice, and my last day will be Thursday, September 11th. I recently accepted a new position as the recreation supervisor for the city of Somersworth. This decision did not come lightly. I greatly value my position here in town and have also grown really close to a lot of people over my time here. This decision was ultimately made because this brings me closer to my family and my friends, and I'm very excited to be working for a community I grew close to. I'm very proud of everything that we have accomplished over the years, and I hope I left a positive mark on the town. And I want to thank you all for the support you've given me over the last 7 years. I will surely miss all of you, and I wish nothing but the best of luck to the town of Brentwood and the Recreation Department. So, sorry, but not sorry. And another reason why I wanted to start the meeting off with that announcement is that might change the outlook of how we're looking at some of our projects, activities that are coming up. You know, I'm only one person here, but my main focus over the next 2 weeks here is just making sure that, you know, Jason's on a good footing to keep the ship afloat until, you know, the town can fill the position. I did tell the town that, you know, whether it's through phone call or I come in every once in a while to help out and or for training, you know, I want to make sure that the transition is as smooth as possible. I care about the town and the department greatly, and, you know, just started my 8th year here. So again, proud of the work we've done, and I'd like to see it keep going in the right direction there. So for all intents and purposes, I think the most appropriate thing for me to do at this point is to be guardrails for the meeting tonight, go through the agenda, let the primary decision-making and or discussion points come from Jason and the board here. I'd be more than happy to give my recommendations and suggestions based off of how everyone feels, but again, I believe the wise approach here is how do we get through the fall and winter seasons here. Again, I don't know what the select board's time frame is going to be. They're trying to fill a town administrator role. I know a building inspector. I know there's a select board rep that's recently stepped down. So when you kind of throw another position to the mix, I don't necessarily know how the chips are going to fall per se. So again, my main focus is just making sure the department can get through the next, you know, 8 to 12 weeks here. So.
Congratulations, Andy. Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Very exciting for you and your family.
All right. Let me take it. Okay.
Sure, why not?
All right. So first thing on the list here, the soccer team announcements is what we have next. We can cross that off our agenda. We were able to resolve that before bringing it to the board here. Originally, we were going to bring it to you guys because it was an exception to our normal rules for soccer. But I was able to work it out with the family. And we're moving forward as originally planned. So we can cross that off our list there for the agenda. Moving into our roadmap, we kind of went through that last meeting 2 weeks ago. We made the adjustments accordingly. I don't have an updated version for us tonight, but we wanted to provide at least a couple updates on some of those projects already that we've begun working on. The first one being our windscreens quotes. The quotes, Andy, it looks like he's
I
passing
forgot
around.
to make copies of these, but
No worries.
those are the quotes for right now.
The quotes are from BSN, who is a vendor that we use for quite a lot of our athletic equipment. He gave us 3 different numbers for 3 different materials. I updated the sticky notes there with the correct square footage. The original number was based on an estimate for the court the fence size and length. So the sticky notes will have highlighted in green what the final number would be for all 4 sides, given that material that they provided. So the way he listed it was there's a good, better, best, and it's up to us if we want to go down those roads, which one we want to choose, if we want to go with BSN for those. So that's basically what those quotes are there is from BSN.
Question for you on that.
Yeah.
So obviously you explained the 3 different quotes. Is BSN the only one that we've gotten for quotes?
Currently, correct.
Currently, are there any other
I-
companies out there that we can get more?
That I'm not sure about. I
So
mean,
this
they-
is, all right, so I'll chime in on this here.
Sure.
You can certainly get more quotes if you like, but typically BSN will give anywhere between a 10 and 25% discount for us
Okay.
because we are a Parks and Rec department.
Sure.
There's a lot of things that we'll use Amazon for or make
Yeah.
Walmart trips or, I mean, we do go online to try to get the
Yeah.
cheapest prices possible.
Yeah.
But they are, in my opinion, for something like the wind guards here, I think this would be, especially for something right around $1,000, I think this would
Oh,
be
yeah,
an
yeah.
easy
I just
error
didn't know if there was any
decision.
other sports, like, businesses that handled it,
If-
or if this is just kind of the
if
one
we
that's within the
contacted
parameters.
Collins Sports Center, which is where we go through for our shirts and
Yep.
jerseys, like they do that 110% themselves.
Okay.
But if we went
Yeah.
through them, like they would just be contacting BSN
Oh,
to
yeah, okay.
place the order, and then
Okay,
they get a
gotcha.
cut out of it. So if anything, it would increase the
Sure.
price.
Yeah.
This is cutting straight to the supplier, essentially.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just curious on that one.
So I don't think we're looking for necessarily a motion or any sort of
Mm.
decision tonight. I
Mhm.
think this is us updating you guys on the first round of numbers that we received.
Mm-hmm.
And if we would like more numbers, we can certainly find more numbers. Yeah, this is just, we wanted to provide this to everybody, so.
And
Are
for,
those numbers inclusive of that 10 to 15% discount?
that should include the discount in there.
Yeah, I use the rate that they gave us per square foot.
He when he sends it, he just sends what our rate is. But
Mhm.
if you were to go through their catalog, you would see an increased price there.
Okay.
And again, for what it's worth, at this stage in the game, because correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, when does the fall session end?
For pickleball?
Yes.
It's gonna be like, I think late October.
All right, we'll never scratch that. What I was going to say is it might be a good start for the spring season when we come from outside in, because then you're going to have to put them up, and it's one less winter that they're out there for.
Yep.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's October, yeah.
but
Is that what you're thinking too, that this is something we're looking to do for next year rather than, is it a pressing need that's?
It's not pressing. I mean, obviously, as we get later in the year, the sun's going to go down sooner. So I don't think we necessarily have to worry too much about the windscreens currently. I mean, that's my opinion. I have nothing to base it off of, just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But if we wanted to do it for the spring, it'd be a nice addition for the people who join us in the spring.
Okay.
temperatures are starting to cool down. It's obviously to
are.
keep the sun out and provide shade, but that shade, because it's a black top, would also keep the temperature from the pavement rising up to be a little bit cooler as well. So
Okay.
again, we're approaching the cooler months. I don't think there's a pressing need, but but I highly recommend for when you open up the 2026 calendar year that
Mhm.
these are
considered.
up on
Sure.
the courts there.
Complaint from the people that are using it now.
It's not a complaint, it's just something that we wanted to do to.
It's a standard.
Okay.
Yeah, you go to any other pickleball, tennis court, they're going to have wind
have 'em.
guards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, so you mentioned about $1,000. I'm seeing anywhere from 33,594 up to 5,455.
Yeah, per side. It was,
Yeah, that was
Right.
per side. So.
Okay, but still, the total project is anywhere from almost 4,000 to like 5,500, so,
Yeah. It's about a $2,000 difference between the lowest and the highest.
right.
Mhm.
Okay, I just want to be clarify on what the total project
Mhm.
is. And there's nobody else who does this stuff?
I'm sure we could find somebody else. It's just BSN's been always our go-to for
Sure.
equipment purposes. We just bought soccer nets from them
Right.
a couple weeks ago. So
I mean, I always think anything over 1,000, it's always worth finding another
Sure.
vendor.
Yeah.
we can definitely.
Yep.
Well, then this is we're not. I don't think we're looking for any votes or anything. We just want to
Okay.
provide these numbers, so we can definitely find more numbers for wind guards.
Yeah. Yep. It's always good to do the at least a minimum of 2 to 3.
Sure. This
Close.
at least gives us an idea. This gives us a basis as a group now to base
Mm-hmm.
future numbers
Yeah.
off of.
Yep. Nope.
Cool. All right. Unless there's anything else on wind guard specifically, I think we can move on to the next. All right. Cool. Facility and field rates. Unfortunately, due to some of the curveballs this week, we haven't been able to provide you with anything. We originally had plans to have some numbers and proposals ready for that.
I screwed that up.
That's still something that we are working on. And honestly, with the current changes that we've been dealt with, I don't know how big of a priority that is really right now. I know it's something that personally I would like to see us move to the hourly system that we've discussed in the past. But the current system obviously works with what we have, and until I think things smooth out, it might be best to continue moving forward. Obviously, in free time, I can continue to work towards a new method. I just personally don't know if it's quite as pressing as it was 2 weeks ago. So that's just kind of the quick update. We don't really have anything for you guys tonight on that one, but it's something that we started on and can continue to work on.
Did you want to give them a rough idea of what was discussed? Or?
I mean, we had so many ideas. I don't know if anything that's
okay.
currently appropriate. I know we still want to keep the difference between resident and non-resident rates, making sure it's
Correct.
it's slightly cheaper for residents. And I know we were talking about adjusting rates for program user, not program users, but program hosts and class hosts, to make sure that there's a more unified system for anybody who wants to come and host a class or program for us. So, all right, I think that's everything for facility and field rates. Furnace. I mean, I'm gonna kind of cover this one, but feel free to chip in.
Yep.
I think we're still waiting on a few quotes to come through. We have David Fields, who's still here. I don't know, Andy, where you're at in terms
So
of
all the sidewalks have been scheduled and taken place. So we were looking for 4 quotes in total. We got 2 of those 4. No joke, this Rick Wenzel one came in the day after our last meeting. So this is a new one since we've met last.
Yep.
Again, he provided quotes on a split system as well. I can't remember if, I don't think I had this at the last meeting, but this is kind of some of the information and maybe some of the systems he was recommending here. Be more than happy to email that out to everyone.
Yeah.
But it's my goal between now and the 11th of September here to try to get those 2 quotes into you. Because again, it's only my 2 cents, but I think the 2 highest priorities that the department should be looking at right now is filling the position 1 and then looking at the furnace 2.
Yep.
So I want to make sure that I try to leave off here with at least all 4 quotes coming
Is the furnace an HVA system like AC as well?
in.
So it's,
Correct.
you're replacing the whole HVAC?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would ask for your, not for nothing, before you do move on, not to just get us the 4, just I would feel comfortable asking you for what your advice or suggestion might be. Not that we would need to take it, but since you've been involved with getting the
Yep.
Oh,
quotes
yeah.
and maybe dealing with these people longer than any of us have, I would be
Yep.
curious to hear.
I'd be more than happy to do that with anything else. I can rack and stack them on what I think is, most appropriate to least. I will just be very open and candid. Mark Kennedy has been helping me out with this process because he is a little bit more educated on HVAC systems and
Yes.
things like that. So I will probably, I'll lean on his recommendation. But normally what I do is like when the previous building inspector was here, Kip, he would tell me, what's the best system, and then I look at the price, and then I kind of factor everything.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, if we're getting 4 quotes, maybe quote number 3, which was the lowest, or second lowest, but second highest graded system would be the one to look at. Things like that. So I'll try to factor both what he recommends off of the system itself, but then also price.
This is probably something we're gonna wait until the new person comes in and fills that position before making a decision on something that could potentially be $30,000.
Correct. Yeah.
That would be wise.
We'd all be
Yeah.
in-
I agree.
It'd be wise, but it's probably still effective to continue moving forward on these, like trying to get these numbers set up so that way we're good to go. Yeah,
Absolutely.
And
we don't want to delay it too much.
I'll-
Yeah.
No.
don't want to put Laura on the spot because I know she's kind of shuffling through a folder there.
Sorry, I'm
right now.
listening.
But I know that you've been very helpful in the last few weeks here on, reaching out to different agencies and whatnot to see if there's other ways for funding. Do you mind if I put you on the spot
No,
for an
you can put me
update
on
on
the
that
spot.
end?
So I heard back from one group, and they were like, nope, we don't do this at all. Check with your electrical provider. I have reached out to them. I have not heard back. I owe them an email back to nudge them. So no, I haven't found anything on that yet.
Okay, perfect. As Jason stated, I think, and to echo what Jim said, I think it'd be wise to continue on searching out information, getting quotes and all that. So the wheels are in motion, and then whoever fills that,
Right.
my spot here, once their feet's a little wet and has had time to get settled in, basically all that pre-work is lined up, and
Yeah.
the commission can provide a recommendation to the select board.
That sounds good.
All right. Moving on to aeration quotes. Actually, Andy, if it's all right, you were the one that primarily handled this one, if you don't mind.
Yes. So when we met last, there was 2 quotes there, and I believe it per Jim's request, he wanted to get a quote that did not have the seating there, but just the aeration itself. So it should be, they're all the same here. It should be
1,080, I believe.
the after the 5% discount there, it should be the $1,026 there. You can compare that to the $4,500. That greatly drops that price down a bit. That 877 one, I believe. Let's see here.
I believe that's the fence area, right?
That was the
Pickleball
fence area.
courts.
So this is so when we recently got the pickleball courts in, we had to tear up the field around there. So this was to provide the seating and kind of bring some green grass back over there. So for 877, this is who we're contracted with. I felt this was a fair price, and this was a quote before I got on vacation. I literally got this on the 14th. In the past, anything that was under 1,000, I've always kind of had the permission to go ahead and schedule. So I went ahead and scheduled it. They did it while I was gone. So I haven't gotten the official invoice yet, but that's what this one here is for. But the comparison of what we're looking at for the lower field is the $4,500 to the $1,000. I've been purposely holding off the call to Lawn Doctor. I wanted to let tonight kind of unfold first. I wanted to see how the board felt. You know, we do start sports up next weekend. We don't have any irrigation down the lower field, so it's not like we have to worry about hitting anything.
Yep.
So if the board's fine, I don't mind calling Mike tomorrow to schedule the work. We already have his certificate of liability and whatnot, so, but that's why I wanted to leave it up to the board here, because I'm trying to, in the best way possible, again, my focus is on preparing Jason and all the programs so it's ready. I'm trying to limit the decision-making, because you know, I don't want to be making decisions if it's something that's going to be scheduled for when I'm not here.
Question for, I know that we have all of this from these guys, but we do have someone local that does, people that live here in Brentwood. Have you even thought to reach out to Lombardi? They do a lot of the lawn stuff as well. I'm not sure if they do. Yeah, they do a lot of residents. I'm not sure if they do like these types of fields or if it's just strictly residential.
We haven't, but one of the soft term agreements we have with lawn doctors when we need anything additional.
Yep.
That
Did
you
they
know,
give a
we are on
discount?
a year-to-year contract with
Yep.
them, but that we go through them. If I would recommend, if you want to go and find someone that might be able to do it for a lower price, then I would probably do a general field maintenance agreement or contract and put bids out for the whole thing, because typically when you come into an agreement with someone, you typically want to stay with that vendor. And to be honest, if this was something that Hillside would do, because we use Hillside a lot for the infield work, and that's who did the drainage and whatnot, that's something I would try to have him do, but it's something he doesn't. So then we go to the next person we're contracted with, which is Lawn Doctor. But both Hillside and Lawn Doctor were on, I have to double check, but it's definitely 1-year contracts. I just can't remember if it starts like April 1 or May 1 or something like that. But we're contracted with them until, let's say, early part next spring.
Yeah. I always think that it's good for, I mean, multiple quotes is good anyway, but I always feel like Lombardi's very reasonable. If they were to be able to do this, you might even be able to, or, you know, go and be like, hey, listen, this is what we're getting quoted from this person and this person. Can you do better? If we get into a contract with you.
As we approach budget season, what I recommend is Lawn Doctor's definitely within the market price of what they're charging us. So it's not like they're overcharging us.
Yeah, no.
But with that said, when I first started here in 2018, the line item that we had in our budget for land maintenance was $5,600.
Right.
That has not changed. It's still
Correct.
$5,600.
Right.
In 2018, our bill from Lawn Doctor was roughly $7,500. That bill is now starting to climb up to 11. Okay, so again, it is within that fair market price, but if going off what you're saying, Julie, I maybe recommend that this fall, you know, again, it's tough under the certain circumstances right now, but maybe putting out the whole contract out to bid, give Lawn Doctor a chance to maybe match other prices, but I would probably recommend it might be time to see who else can provide similar services
Mhm.
and then kind of go from there. Because if you're looking to do this, it does line up with the field spray and fertilization. That they
Okay. Yep.
That's calendar year contract. Usually when you say it's year to year, does that typically run January through December?
It normally starts in the springtime, so they don't
it's
even.
like
Yeah, they.
April,
So
though.
for lawn doctor, they don't even touch. Well, because it's winter time, so
Yeah.
it normally. I want to say it kicks in April 1st, so it goes April 1st to the end of March, but nothing really happens there. So if you're looking to switch vendors, you'd be looking to start April 1 of 2026. So lawn doctor would still be contracted to
Right.
finish the work out for the rest of the fall time, but nothing's going to happen in winter anyways. But that agreement would then kickstart April 1 of 2026.
So right now, do we have anything scheduled to aerate and or overseed the upper field?
No.
That's nothing, that's not getting touched, the upper field, because I just played, I've had practices the last 3 nights, on the lower field. It's not great, and I told you last meeting, but it's not terrible. So if you're telling me the options that we have are, like 47 would be to aerate and seed the lower field, which we don't wanna do, because
No.
the
It's gonna
ground
wash
is not
all
gonna
away.
grow grass.
No.
This
Right.
horrible weather I mean, it's been great, but there's just no rain.
Yeah.
For grass.
So to spend 1,000, even though I was in favor of it, kind of a week ago, I wouldn't suggest we spend 1,000 to aerate the lower field today.
No.
Is my opinion. I don't know if that's
No,
something
I
to
was
vote on.
just down there the other day,
No, I'm
maybe
in
last
agreement
week
with
too,
that.
for the softball practice, and it's not horrible right now.
So
Almost
Dawn-
unnecessary at this point.
So
if it was 500, I'd say okay. The 1,000 is just like
Don over from ASAP, that's who not rec, but the town contracts out for all the green space in town. I mean, him and I text each other all the time. He normally mows twice a week. He's been, I think this past month was going once every other
Yeah.
week,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there were, too dry. There was no need to, so we're just trying to preserve the life of the fields as much as
Yep.
possible, so. Again, the original thought was, see how the drainage holds up before you put seed down. You don't, if it doesn't drain properly or what we were expecting, we don't want to drown the seed out
No.
there. And,
Right. That would be a waste of money.
yeah, so
So
I'm
you
gonna,
say do nothing
I-
with this the
I'm-
fall and wait till the spring?
That's my opinion as of
Oh.
right now, just versus spending $1,000 or not, because now when there's a change in the leadership, I think it behooves us just to kind of be conservative as much as
Agree. Yep.
possible.
That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
No,
But, but if you brought in a master greens person, they would they might convince us to go ahead and aerate it.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
I just don't think the way the weather's been, I just don't think
Mhm.
that we need to put that money forth right now, only because the fields are not that bad. I think, correct, whoever the next person comes in their role, I think they should be able to kind of take that on.
and I think
Agreed.
it should be top near their priority to be like, we need to maintain the condition of
Oh,
those fields, because they're
1000%.
beautiful.
Yep.
We just, once you start to lose the grass,
It's
That's
hard to
it.
get back.
It
Yeah.
really,
we just
it
table
really
this
is,
until
yeah.
future,
Right.
until
A lot of it's probably dormant now anyway.
Yeah,
You just, you
right.
don't know what you've got.
we did a site walk overview with Gary from Hillside, and he's in contract with a lot of schools in the state, and he's been highly recommending them to not aerate.
Yeah,
really.
Yes.
Okay.
Because,
Yeah, that's
because we're in dormant season right now.
right,
So,
yeah.
AI says in the spring.
Yes.
Yep.
There we
spring
go.
and fall are the
There you
best 2 seasons.
Yeah,
But it actually says spring over fall.
yeah.
do we want to trust AI?
I do.
I'm not gonna open up.
I know.
Yeah.
We're gonna go
I'm
down
not a
that
fan of
rabbit
AI
hole.
at all, so I'm like,
The almanac says
grasses.
we're going to have a milder and drier winter than
Yeah.
normal. if you
Oh.
Full
wanna
season
believe that.
grasses.
Yeah.
That means
such
less
as
snow and less
Kentucky,
cold.
Mhm.
Should be
Yeah.
fall.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
But that's
No,
not
but
us.
here is, no, New England.
All right.
So, in the sense of keeping the meeting going here, did anyone have any other new business? I didn't know if you did.
There's 2 things that I think we should talk about. One
Mhm.
being budget season coming around the corner here.
Yes.
We have received an email from the select board asking for our budgets by September 15th. So obviously, unfortunately, this is our last meeting before we have to submit our budget
Yeah.
to the select board. I believe it's just the initial draft though. It's not our final budget.
Is it okay if I come in?
Of course.
Yeah, so they're asking just for initial draft. Historically speaking, mid-September is when the select board calls for a department head meeting. How's the year going? Any curveballs in your budget? And normally we get 1 to 2 meetings as a group to sit down and look at that budget. I gave Julie the heads up on this. Jason and I talked about this. What I would recommend that I feel is the most appropriate thing to do is Jason and I can work on the first initial rough draft by the end of next week. So there's something to submit for September 15th. They're not making any decisions. They're not voting on anything. So by your next September meeting, which I believe is the 24th,
Fourth, yep.
you will have a meeting to make any budget adjustments. But before submitting that rough draft to the select board, the idea was is we send it to the chair and vice chair just to making sure like, hey, is this draft at least good enough to send in? I get the okay from the two of you, then we would go ahead and send that rough draft over to the select board. And I'd be willing to do that before I head out. That rough draft, if anyone's trying to get a ballpark idea of what it's gonna be keeping outside of staff stuff, all other line items level funded. Based off of town meeting, his position was paid through unreserved funds for 2025, but then in 2026, would then be a part of the budget. So we have to include that in the budget. So on paper, it's gonna look like a large increase, but we will remind the select board and the budget committee, that's what the townspeople voted for at town meeting.
Correct.
We'll factor in that the 3% COLA that every other department is putting in for their employees. We'll leave the director salary line and everything else where it's at. And then present that to the select boards for their review on the 15th. And when it comes to the COLA, the other line items, whatever it is, let the process play itself out through rec commission recommendations, going through the proper channels, letting the select board provide their recommendations, and then getting to that stage of the budget committee. And if it passes there, then obviously where budget would ultimately get passed would be at that town meeting. So I'm not saying what I'm willing to submit to the select board is what, hey, this is what you should be submitting. It should be, hey, you know, I'll go out saying I wanted to present, if I was going to be here for, you know, another year, I wanted to present as conservative as a budget as I could. There's a tax cap in place. There's going to be a rush. All the departments are going to be saying, hey, we need this, we need this, we need this. And it's up to the select board and the budget committee to figure out what corners to cut from. So I already wanted to present a pretty conservative budget with all other line items level funded. So that's the idea of that draft there. But again, I will make sure that if everyone's okay with it, that both Julie and Jim at least get their eyes on it. So they're like, okay, hey, at least there's two members of the board that's seen it go through. The select board will go from it, and maybe you get some feedback between the 15th and when you meet on the 24th saying, hey, you know, based off all the other departments, we recommend doing this, or we recommend doing that. And then at that point, the decision-making process, whether or not if the position is filled, can be a collaborative effort from the rec commission.
Perfect. Any questions or comments on budget?
No, for me personally, I think I'm fine with you're not gone yet. So I think continuing to do what you're used to doing and prepare. It's just a draft anyway. So preparing that and getting it ready, I mean, I think that's appropriate. And then we will take a look at it just to make sure.
I will stay. We'll have a full-time job, so that will still be my priority, but I'm always a phone call away. I've been making this drive for as long as I have now. So if I need to come in and help out every once in a while, because I understand that, again, the town is going through a huge change right now.
Right.
So, you know, I do care about this department. So I am a phone call away if anyone needs any assistance through this process.
I have one.
No, I have a question. I was thinking about something that would probably cost a little bit of money. Andy has mentioned it. Next year is our 250th, and I would love to see the rec department to do something a little bit more on the 4th of July parade, maybe organize a judges stand so that encourage people to do elaborate floats and bands so that we can really have a good celebration. Fireworks are expensive, and I'm not even going to think about that, but
Yeah,
for
we
very
can't
little
do
money,
that.
you can set up a little judges stand and have all the kids, maybe have a category for kids on their bikes and trikes and another one for marching bands, and to make the parade something this year, just because of the celebration.
What I would recommend with that idea, which I think is fantastic, is that's why we have the revolving account for situations like that, is maybe use that and not build it necessarily into the budget. Again, that's my 2 cents. But maybe it wouldn't hurt the rec commission to approach the select board, while it's been the rec department to run the parade, with
Right.
this being the 250th, maybe there can be a big collaborative effort at the same time with this, because it is a pretty big one, and we're one of the few towns in the state that does do a parade, so
You had
that's
men-
what I would
Yeah.
suggest,
Yeah.
but.
When I
So
mentioned
my,
it before, you'd mentioned like maybe sell hamburgers and just, we did it in Elverson, and it was so much fun to see these kids with their bikes decorated, little baby carriages, and people would come with their dogs, and there'd be ponies, and the bands would come from the high school. We would invite them, and most of them would come. Occasionally, we'd have to spend $50 or something to get
Yep.
them to fun. And it really is such a wonderful patriotic thing to do on this. This is a big deal, the
Yep.
250th, so,
I believe we already
So-
have some food back.
so just so you guys are aware of this, I've already been working on this because I was pretty much the original kind of person on the committee of doing the 4th of July parade and working
Great.
with recreation. So we already have vendors. So there are going to be, Lindy's is going to be one of our vendors. Goody Coles will be one of our vendors. And we've got Kona Ice again. We felt that doing that, there is one other person that I'm looking into coming in that's going to have, what do you call it? Oh, fried dough. Fried dough.
Oh, yeah.
Potentially this person does like hamburgers and hot dogs as well, so that we at least have 4 vendors, or 3 in food
That's great.
and 1 in Kona. The other thing is bringing in, I'm talking to someone with the EHS high school band to bring in a marching band. We discussed briefly about doing a little bit something different for the kids themselves. It's really about the families, it's really about the children, and we feel like that for the biggest 250th, I think we need to just have it surround families, kids. I watched so many of those kids while I walked that parade. I walk it every year. The kids just, they light up.
They do.
They love when they get bracelets. They love when they get candy. So I think you're correct in saying, like, let's do something for the kids. We're going to look at doing also, our chief has agreed to doing Dunk the Chief. So we're going to have a dunk tank for him. So the kids are going to have fun with that. And then there was a couple of other things I have on my list that I don't have with me right now. But for now, those folks are confirmed for our 250th. I do want to go back to having, like, we brought the cornhole boards out. Families were loving it after the parade. They were playing with that. And then the folks that do the horses in the parade, I did mention to Andy, like, let's see if they could bring ponies. And if they can't do it for any reason, if it has to do with liability,
That's what they
we do have families here who do have horses that they may be okay with bringing their horse and just letting kids sit up and kind of walk them around. So that's on my list too, to just kind of see if we have a little bit of a mixture of making this event a true family event for the town, because we had more people in attendance on this one, and it just keeps growing. The previous year, there was a ton. So people are liking that this is truly a family event, and there's more families coming into Brentwood. So I talked to a few families while I was walking, and they had, like, the grandparents came because they wanted to see the parade. Cousins came because they wanted to see the parade. So people are starting to bring their families to it. So it's really something to be proud of that they come to Brentwood. When we had the fireworks eons ago, I was the chair for that board as well. And that was an amazing event because people came from all over to see the fireworks. We can't do that anymore.
very expensive and
It's
liability.
not even that.
liability, too.
It's liability. Where we had it in the back of Rockingham's facility, the last year that we had it, the fireworks guys actually realized they cut some bushes aside for safety reasons, and realized that there was about 3 propane tanks where they didn't even know there were propane tanks there because the brush was so covered. So they reached out to
That would have been fire.
us and the board and basically said, we really can't do this anymore. But it was great. There was vendors. We had tons of vendors. We worked with the Rockingham facility. It was so great for the elders. But that, unfortunately, we can't do that. So we've got a good a
That's
good
great.
step ahead for the 250th. And, you know, it'll
In
just
my old
continue to
town, we
grow.
had something called Elverson Day, and it was always the last Saturday in June. And I was on the committee for about 3 years, and I've got
Yeah.
all kinds of notes, and I might be able to add a few thoughts on some of the things.
Yeah, any
The
thoughts?
kids, like the kids love a bounce house.
Yep,
Up a bounce
and that is one of the things on the list too,
You
because
know,
the
and-
kids love it. They
And
just love
They
it.
did a little train where somebody just
Yeah.
drove a little lawn tractor around with
Yep.
cars.
Yep.
Just anything, and it's kids of all ages. you
Yeah.
know. We had face painting the whole 9 yards, and it
Yeah.
turns into almost like a little mini carnival.
Yeah, and Swayze's always like the great little end spot. Everybody like kind of just gathers there. So I think having a bunch of different things and
We're already on it.
yeah,
Great.
yeah. So yeah,
Um,
but any?
I know you may have had one, or anything
I'm
else
good.
on parade?
No, I'm good.
Not a parade.
I know you may had one more thing. It sounds like
I have
Laura
one
may
more,
have
but Laura
something.
can go ahead.
Laura?
I was ready to hand out the raffle tickets to Basil, but I think we need to not do it because, we're short of time. Our board members I need them to commit to sell them.
Yep.
We're not all here and you're leaving and it's such a short time.
I'm glad you brought that up because I know I was texting you before I went off vacation.
Mhm.
I won't get into the dynamics, but I couldn't I can sign in, but I couldn't authenticate Stripe, so I couldn't download
Right.
the QR code.
Yep.
I went to go make Venmo because I'm like, let's be super quick, super easy. But of course, like anything else in the modern day, they need cell phones and personal information. And to be frank, I was already uncomfortable using personal information for the online payment system for our website. And I really don't want to take another deep dive into that, especially if I'm not going to
Yep.
be here for the
Yep.
long haul.
I
So
agree. I just, I
until we
don't
can
think-
figure out an actual solution
Mm-hmm.
to make that account, not that it's difficult, but those were some hurdles that I had trying to make that, and it's, so I forgot that, so thank you for, bringing that up, because that did jog my memory.
Okay.
Quick
So I-
question: is there anything in the town that can be used to set up those accounts, like Town of Brentwood, the town's credit card, or like anything like that?
The very
or is
first
that
step I
no?
got to was it needed a phone number to text to that would save into the account and it would send you a verification code.
Oh,
The town doesn't have
no.
a cell phone, like it's just the
Oh.
landline that we have.
Right.
And
Yeah.
let's just say when I did the authenticating side of things for Stripe for our website, it needed cell phone numbers. Social
Oh
Security
yeah.
numbers.
Oh, that's such a pain in the tush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Laura, last meeting when I was here, I thought you had 2 or 3 like real specific examples or things that you wanted to do, and I was like, I love the proposals that you made, and this is one in particular, you took it on yourself. How many tickets were you hoping we'd be able to sell?
I would want it to be able to, I want it to clear like $4,000. So,
$4,000.
$4 at $20 a ticket, so.
$20 a ticket.
Right. So I think we could have done it, but I just don't think now with our board members not here and the timing of Andy leaving, and then we
The
have
season
one
two
Saturday. We have
award,
one
yeah.
Saturday. I just feel
And-
like it's too close.
200 tickets.
And when I'm here next
That's a
Saturday,
week and a half.
because I'm leaving
Right.
in the nicest way possible, my main focus is working with
I agree.
Jason and the Snack Shack, making sure everything is all set. So once you get one weekend, it kind of takes care of itself. So
Right.
not that I didn't want to do this, but my main focus is making sure the programs can still run.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
Right.
That's kind of where I'm at.
I would go back to this donor, again, for if we want to do this in next summer.
Yep.
I think we could do it. I just think there's too much influx.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it would do justice to what we could earn.
Yeah.
So-
Yep.
And I think working with that donor, I think getting it right early into the season and being able to kind of do it through the summer, we probably could even like go
Exceed
past that.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
okay. I think that's fine. I just think it's important
Yep,
not to rush it.
Yeah.
I agree.
No, I agree. Yeah, I agree with that.
Did anyone else have any other new
I think
business?
just almost to that note, not new business, but touching on last meeting, I know we were talking about moving the rec office down to the actual rec building. I feel like there's a lot of these things right now with influx that we should probably put on
Yep.
pause.
And I think in large part, that's what that
Yeah.
fundraiser was going to help with.
Exactly.
So, going back to what I said earlier in the meeting, not that you can't, as a department, strive towards those things because they're all
Right.
very important, but
Yeah,
to
yeah.
me, priorities number 1, 2, and 3
Mhm.
is making sure the department can still
Yeah.
run in a functional level. We still have services to provide, so
Right.
you need to run those. Getting ready for budget season,
Mm-hmm.
furnace,
Mm-hmm.
and filling the position. Like those are your 3 to 4
Yeah.
priorities.
Yep.
How you want to rack and stack them is yours, but those should be the short term outlook, in my opinion,
Yeah.
from this committee here.
That's something that can be looked at a later time. It's not obviously a priority. It's not like that office
Yep.
is falling apart and, oh my God, we
Right.
need to get out of the building,
Yep.
so.
All right.
Any other new business before I give Jason final thoughts here? Jason.
All right, I have one last matter of business. Because obviously we're losing Andy, and I'm only part-time now during the school season. We have 4 big events coming up this fall, winter period here. Well, 3 months, September, October, November. I would like to propose that we potentially this year hold off on doing our haunted walk. And do our fall paddle, our
5K.
5K, and then our craft fair, which would be one event per month.
Which I'll be here for that. I bought 3 tables. I'm here for that.
The craft fair.
Yeah, the craft fair.
I know early in the spring we talked about potentially holding off due to the conditions of the
Oh, yeah.
There's no water.
trails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This could be a good opportunity for us to halt. My big thing is the other 3 events I listed. We already have people who are working on those events. We already got people who have signed up for those events.
Permits are approved.
Permits are approved for those events. Our haunted walk, to be honest, we haven't really touched at all at this point. So there's not like we have to take back a whole bunch of stuff. We're not renegotiating. Also being completely transparent, the week of October 19th there, that 19th is the 5K. At the end of the week would be our haunted walk. And in between that, we also have a commission meeting that week.
Yeah.
Oh,
So that's going to be a
That's too
very
much.
loaded week. So my proposal to the board, I mean, if we can find a new director in that time, like maybe we readjust and see if we can make that work. But knowing
I'd
the
like
current
to
climate where we're at,
Highlight what would it need to take to run that too, and I think this is why Jason's proposing that, is that, as Jason stated, all these other events, they're good to go. You have volunteers lined up, you have permits approved, you're good to go. You need to clean the trails. We haven't heard back from the school or PFG yet because we sent a proposal to do the school trails this year, so we have not heard back from them. I understand school just started, but
Right.
all in all, we still haven't heard back from them. You need your food vendors, you need scarers, and on a, limited scheduled basis. That's a lot to juggle, when the main focus should be running your 8-week field hockey, soccer programs,
Right.
making sure the
So
paddle goes
rentals.
well, making sure the building is clean and well maintained for your rentals. I think Jason's onto something, but I think this is a decision that needs to come from the board.
Personally, I honestly, after the conversation that we had with what Wayne and all the extra walks that went through those trails, I personally am totally fine with pausing that because one, all these other things are already like ready to go and it's a safety issue for me. And the haunted walk is definitely not something that we want to rush. You have to find the volunteers. Yes, you have to find the scarers. And knowing and already having a couple of different walkthroughs, and it's already been clear that the trails are really like a safety issue, I think we can just take a step back. Swayze and PFG obviously do the trunk or treat. It's not like the kids are going to miss out on anything, and then they're going to have their trick or treating. I think safety wise, I would say that we need to pause it just until we really truly can get some work for the following year.
and perhaps if Rex wants to be involved with the PFG, and
Yeah.
maybe we can do something to donate
Yep.
candy or do something to stay
Yeah.
involved with.
Total.
Bring the
totally.
van for trunk or treat or
Something.
something.
There's
Yeah.
still ways that we can still be involved, but I think my personal opinion is that's a lot selfishly, for me, being the one
Right.
who's filling in to do
And
all
that
that
too,
in
yep.
a 25-hour week basis.
Yep.
So I'm bringing it to you guys, and yeah.
I agree with that. I guess what I would want to know beyond that is for the other things that we are going to do, what do you need for help? Like, are you okay? Are you all set with them? You feel comfortable?
So our upcoming one's the fall paddle, and honestly, I think we're in a pretty good spot for that one. Eric Turr is helping us run the majority of that.
Yeah, that
He does all
usually
the
runs
maintenance
smooth.
of the river.
Yeah.
All we really
Just
do
need to
is
reach out to
just-
Matt, really.
We have a couple volunteers that we look for, and then
Yeah.
we just bring the boats down if people want those, and
Wayne's a great help with that.
Mm-hmm.
then I think some shopping for food. Like I think for the fall paddle, it's pretty limited, and I'm not too worried about that one.
Yeah.
Who does the cooking? Is there a cooker?
That's all Eric and
Eric,
volunteers.
so we buy the groceries, but he coordinates the volunteers,
He often does the pickup. and-
tying off the boats, the cooking, setting up the tables and all that. And he normally will lend his trailer the day of to pick up the tables and chairs from the BRC.
we do registration.
And I'm meeting with him on Wednesday, the 3rd, very early in the morning. So, you would be present for that meeting. So
Yeah,
I-
he's fantastic.
yeah, I think,
Incredible.
I agree with Jason. I think that can still go as scheduled.
What about the 5K?
5K, I'm supposed to touch base with Mark Hannick, who's been our lead guy for that.
Yeah.
I have been doing phone tag with him, so I haven't been able to touch base. So there are still some questions. Do we have vendors for that? I know he really wanted to try to elevate that this year. I know we have, off the top of my head, we probably have 4 or 5 current registrations, so it's not a whole lot of registration that we currently have for that. I know we have the shirts and
The
stuff
shirts are already in, the numbers
permits
are in.
approved. So a lot of that's already done. I think it's also.
We already ordered the
like-
toilet.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did that today.
Doty's
ordered
been
boxes.
pretty good about the detailed officers. So like 80% of the work is done,
Mhm.
but it's getting vendors and honestly more people to show up. Like, so maybe
Mhm.
word of mouth. I recommend advertising it like crazy, getting it out there.
I
And
can
then-
check in with Mark too. I talk to him every so
Okay.
often about certain things, so I can.
And then the last one's our craft fair, which is late mid-November. That
Mhm.
one we're like, I think we have 1 table left for vendors.
You just need,
Mama said she sold like 15 or 20 of them like the
Yeah.
first time. She just was nuts.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think we have 17 vendors currently,
Cool.
with just 26 tables. And it's really at that point right now, it's just us word of mouth getting people to actually show up to that event.
and I'd be more than happy to volunteer that day. 'Cause
Um,
Like Ellen.
my wife will be upset if she can't go to that craft fair, so I'm
Yeah.
already here that day.
Okay,
So
cool.
I think for the craft fair, we've already found the vendors for that one. It's really going to be word of mouth, getting people to show up, and then just setting up the tables the day before the event to make sure that we have everything set up. So
September bingo should be good to go.
luncheon.
The October luncheon is good to go. You know, depending how long it takes to fill the position, you might need some assistance with your November bingo and your December luncheon. But the December luncheon is normally pretty easy-ish to run, but it's that November bingo, making sure there's enough prizes and giveaways and baskets for that. But that's normally the 3rd week in November there. But
And then the last thing that you reminded me of is that we have a December trip for our senior. Well, for our seniors, we're going to offer van rides now because Andy's not going to be around.
'cause I was going to drive it.
And I'll be at school when that's happening, so I can't drive the bus. We're now going to be removing that optional feature. We'll just be selling the tickets for people. So,
Okay.
that's
It was the
other-
White Christmas. It was in Portsmouth.
Portsmouth Music
4th
Hall.
of December.
Yeah,
Thursday-
December
Thursday
4th.
Afternoon, a matinee.
So I think for the calendar year, by removing the haunted walk, we're in a good spot. We don't have to worry about the Peach Project this year.
Mhm.
That's
They're not
not
using our
happening.
facilities. So I think for this calendar year, by removing the haunted walk, we should be able to have a
You-
pretty smooth.
I don't mean to keep cutting in, but our gym, our gym requests have already been approved for basketball season. So it's
for
just
men and youth. Yep.
yeah, for men and for youth. So it's just a matter of opening registration, which we can open that within the next 2 weeks that I'm here. I would recommend that both Jim and Joey work with Jason on maybe coordinating open gym, because we normally do that in September and October. But if that's something the 2 of you are willing to work with Jason on, I think the 3 of you could easily tackle that. You will have to submit a building form for that, but Swayze's pretty good about approving that overall. The soccer coaches meeting is next Tuesday. I'll be here for that first opening weekend, but you and I were going to do a debrief, but open basketball registration this upcoming month. You need to close it right around Thanksgiving, and typically starts that first weekend in December. So hopefully enough time has gone by between now and then that hopefully my shoes have been filled.
So I think again, by removing the haunted walk, the rest of this calendar year, we should be able to get by, without having a director. If we get one sooner, great. We can look at adding more stuff back in or whatever it might be. But I'm more confident by removing that one.
Am I correct in hearing that you said there's no holiday walk this year?
Correct.
Beach Project's not happening?
Yes.
They're not using our facility at least.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there plans for in the future? Because I know attendance for that is huge to do one ourselves.
If ourselves, I currently have no plans because that's always been something outside. I don't know.
If you're looking to do something large scale like that on the facilities, I would highly recommend taking as much time and maybe plan for something in December of 2026.
Sure,
You can do
of
something
course.
big, but
I haven't-
clearly the foot traffic is there. I know he's been talking about something for a while, so no, there's nothing for this year.
Right.
Again, for what it's worth, you can take my opinion and shove it where, you know, right? But I would probably recommend maybe not taking advantage of something not taking place
Yeah.
this year.
No, I think it, and I'm in agreement with everybody here. I think this year is the perfect year and perfect time right now to kind of take things off. But
Yeah.
understanding and being to these things over the past several years, attendance has skyrocketed
Oh,
year
yeah.
after year after year. I would hate to see them go away entirely. And I know trying to get people back is
Yeah.
always
So
very
the one
difficult.
idea, and it's just an idea, and I pitched it. Probably about a year ago, I was doing research into the history of Brentwood Rec, and I found something called Summerfest, which happened in the summer way back when.
Hmm.
Our summer is already crazy enough. So when I was talking with Andy, the idea was, well, what if we turn it into Winterfest? And what that would look like, I have no idea. You know, it'd be a bit of our imagination, but that might be a replacement for the Peach Project if that's something we wanted to do. But I really haven't put too much thought into it. It's been one of those things like we should worry about that later.
So
But that's an
much.
idea that-
So much has been going on, and you know sometimes we forget to bring some things up. But we do have 3 parents in town that have formed a ice rink committee. That one of them, Kevin Breen, who's always helped with the construction of it, has been great. Normally, the construction of the frame takes place in October, and then the fire department is we already have 2 liners, so really it's just Kevin and the team putting that together. The subcommittee might need to help Jason and/or members here might need to help Jason maybe come up with some programs or ideas. But on the idea of Winterfest, maybe tie in the ice rink, something like that.
Mhm.
So that's definitely. I don't think that's a this year thing, but
Yeah.
I have tossed that idea to Andy in the past. So if we wanted to replace in the future, I'm sure we could find something to replace
Yeah.
it with. I don't know if this year's the year to do it though.
No, completely understand. And I think, like I said, I think that the attendance for these things from our town,
Sure.
everybody loved
Sure.
it. And it's only getting
Yeah.
bigger and bigger. To completely do away with them, I know
Yeah.
this year's probably not feasible at all, but
Yeah.
I would like to see something for next
Yeah.
year.
Sure.
And it may obviously with it, honestly, they wouldn't be able to really truly do it this year anyway
Right.
because of the trails. So yeah, I mean, that sounds good.
That's all I had. Other orders of business at all?
No.
So our next meeting will be Wednesday, September 24th, here in this room. Andy didn't put the revolving account in there, but that's roughly
Ain't making
what-
excuses, but it's been a busy week. But the revolving account balance before the bill should be right around 88 to 90,000. We should be getting that bill early September, and by your next meeting, you should have a more accurate reflection of that balance there.
All right.
The other thing, before we just, is, Andy, I had mentioned this to you before, so I just want to make sure. When I had applied to be on the board here, I had applied to be a voting member, and since the person has resigned, I was asking that you would, so I don't know if it's you or Jason, would, at the next select board
Yep.
meeting, just ask them to appoint me.
When you and I had spoke, that was towards the end of the week before I went on
Right.
vacation. And in all honesty, Laura, this week has been a whirlwind for me.
No,
so
no, no, I
haven't
just don't
had
want it
the-
to fall through the
Nope.
through the cracks with you.
Nope, I honestly,
Transitioning.
it was one of the things when I kind of broke the news to, he's the one I broke the news to first, and that was one of the things I brought up. So
Okay,
it's on the radar.
okay.
You know, it's not getting slipped through the cracks or anything, but
Okay.
I honestly haven't had the.
Well, there
time to
hasn't been a
address it,
meeting since
so-
your vacation, so that's,
Yeah.
that's fine. I'm just going forward. I just wanted to make sure that that was
Yep.
still there. Okay.
All right. Do we have a motion?
Motion to end the meeting.
Second.
All.
Aye.
Aye.
All righty.
Thank you.
Who was our second? Joey. Okay, thank you.
All in
I was
favor?
writing down notes here.
Sorry, I was late.